Have you ever chased a woman so hard, that the harder you tried, the colder she became? It feels like quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. Here's the Stoic twist: attraction doesn't start with her feelings about you. It starts with her feelings about herself, when she's with you. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'll show you why trying to make her like you actually kills attraction, and how a Stoic shift flips the entire game. He sends another text, silence. He buys flowers, she barely says thank you. He waits, hopes, and scrolls through her pictures late at night, wondering why she feels further away the harder he tries. His chest feels heavy, like rejection has carved its name into his ribs. Loneliness creeps in, whispering that maybe he's just not enough. But here's the truth nobody told him: what if attraction has almost nothing to do with her at all? What if it begins, and ends, with him? Stay with me, because this shift changes everything. You've probably felt it before. That pull in your chest when you like someone and you don't want to lose them. So what do? You text more, you call more, you offer more of yourself, thinking, if I just show her how much I care, she'll see my value. But here's where the trap begins. The harder you chase, the less she's drawn. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. This is the paradox of pursuit. What feels logical, pushing harder, actually destroys the very attraction you're fighting for. Why? Because in her eyes, the man who chases without return is silently saying, my value depends on your attention. And when you send that message, even without words, you flip the dynamic. Instead of being the prize, you become the applicant waiting for approval. Let me paint two quick pictures. First, there's the man who loses himself. He cancels his plans to fit her schedule. He replies instantly, even if it's 2 in the morning. He reshapes his life like clay, molding it to her desires. At first, she might appreciate the attention. But slowly, something shifts. His eagerness feels heavy. His presence no longer excites, because she feels no challenge, no polarity, no reason to invest. Now picture the man who stands firm. He likes her, sure. But he doesn't bend his backbone to win her over. He's present, but not desperate. If she cancels, he keeps his plans. If she takes her time, he doesn't panic, because his world doesn't collapse around her response. And slowly, she begins to notice. His time feels valuable. His attention feels earned. And in that subtle shift, desire is born. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. The same applies to relationships. If your actions come from fear, not truth, they will always push her further away. Epictetus echoed this: freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Think about that in dating terms. You cannot control how she feels. You cannot force desire. But you can control how you carry yourself, how you live, and how you respond. This is the heart of Stoic attraction. The pursuit paradox reveals itself when you try to grip too tightly. The more you invest without her investing back, the lower your stock drops in her mind. She sees your actions not as love, but as need. And here's the sting: need repels desire. A man who signals, I need you to like me, is subconsciously saying, without you, I am incomplete. And no one wants to step into a relationship built on desperation. Now, let's pause for a mini payoff. Because here's the liberating truth: you don't have to play games. You don't have to ghost her or act cold. You simply need to master what the Stoics mastered, the art of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean not caring. It means not clinging. You can like her. You can admire her. You can even desire her deeply. But you don't need her validation to feel whole. That subtle distinction changes everything. Picture this in action. She doesn't reply for hours. The desperate man spirals. What did I do wrong? Should I double text? He can't sleep. He waits by his phone. But the Stoic man? He notices the silence, and then he returns to his book, his workout, his work. He stays rooted in his own world. His self-worth doesn't crumble because her attention wavered. And when she finally replies, she feels it too. His calmness. His lack of panic. His grounded presence. And without even realizing it, she's drawn closer, not because he tried harder, but because he didn't need to. This is the paradox of pursuit in full light. The man who runs fastest toward her often chases her away, while the man who walks his own path draws her to follow. Now, you might be wondering, so, if I stop chasing, won't she lose interest completely? And that's the strange twist. When you stop grasping, she doesn't lose interest. She invests more. But why? Why does letting go spark attraction instead of killing it? Stay with me, because in the next section, we'll uncover the hidden psychology behind why women invest more in the man who invests most in himself. Here's the strange thing about attraction, it doesn't rise out of what you say. It doesn't even come from how much you give. It comes from how a woman feels when she's around you. And this is where the Stoics give us a blueprint. They called it equanimity, the ability to remain steady no matter what storms are outside. Translate that into relationships, and you get what I call the Stoic presence effect. So, what is it exactly? It's the magnetic pull created when you embody calm confidence, when you carry yourself as if your value isn't up for debate. You don't try to impress. You don't over-explain. You simply are. Let me give you an example. Imagine two men on a date. The first is nervous. He talks too fast. He checks her face after every sentence, searching for approval. If she frowns, he panics and changes topics. His entire vibe screams, "Please like me." And even if he's a good man, the pressure smothers her. Now look at the second man. He speaks slowly. He listens more than he talks. When she shares a story, he doesn't rush to one-up her, he just smiles, asks a thoughtful question, and takes a sip of his drink. He isn't rushing, because he's not afraid of silence. His energy says, "I'm comfortable with myself, and I'll be comfortable with you too." Which man feels magnetic? Which one makes her lean in, even if she doesn't understand why? Always the second. That's the Stoic presence effect in action. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Think about what that means for dating. You can't control whether she laughs at your joke. You can't control if she's in the mood to flirt. But you can control your mind, your calmness, your patience, your grounded energy. That control is exactly what makes you attractive. Here's a micro payoff. When you stop performing, you allow her to relax. Instead of evaluating every word you say, she just feels safe. Safe to be herself, safe to let her guard down. And attraction doesn't thrive in tension, it thrives in comfort and curiosity. Now, let's flip the stakes. What happens when a man loses this presence? He reacts to every mood swing. If she replies slowly, he gets angry. If she teases him, he defends himself too much. His world is tossed around like a boat in a storm. And she feels it. She feels the chaos, the insecurity. And whether she says it or not, her body pulls back. On the other hand, when you hold steady, she feels something rare. She feels your stability, and it sparks desire, not because you forced it, but because it's natural to want the ground that doesn't shake. This is why detachment doesn't mean coldness. It means rootedness. It means you can be warm, charming, even playful, but underneath it all, you're not seeking her approval. You're grounded in yourself. Let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine once went on a date where the woman showed up clearly uninterested. Arms crossed, phone in hand, barely looking up. Most men would have tried harder, telling jokes, flattering her, desperately trying to break through. But he didn't. He stayed calm, ordered his food, enjoyed the moment. When she pulled out her phone mid-conversation, he smiled and said, "Take your time, I'll just enjoy my meal." And then he actually did. Guess what happened? 10 minutes later, she put her phone down. She started asking him questions. By the end of the night, she was laughing and leaning across the table. He didn't push. He didn't chase. He created space. And into that space, attraction grew. That's the Stoic presence effect. It's subtle, but it's powerful. It flips the script from you trying to earn her interest, to her realizing she wants yours. And here's the key, this doesn't just work on dates. It works everywhere. In friendships. In business. Even in your family. People are drawn to those who are steady, those who radiate calm strength. It's human psychology. So here's your takeaway. Stop asking, what should I say to impress her? Start asking, how can I be so rooted in myself that I don't need to impress? Because the moment you do, your presence does all the work. Now, you might be wondering, but what if she truly feels nothing? What if my presence doesn't spark anything at all? That's the question most men are afraid to face. And the answer might surprise you. Because in some cases, her indifference is exactly what opens the door to her eventual desire. Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll uncover the twist that flips everything you thought you knew about attraction. Here's the truth that most men never see coming. Attraction isn't about you. It's not about your looks, your bank account, or even the perfect words you rehearse in your head. Women aren't attracted to you. They're attracted to how they feel when they're with you. Let that sink in. Because once you understand this, the entire game of pursuit changes. Let's break it down. Imagine two different experiences. With the first man, she feels pressure. He texts too often. He compliments her endlessly, but it doesn't feel uplifting, it feels suffocating. His energy whispers, "I need you to like me, or I'm nothing." And so, every time she's with him, she feels drained. Now imagine the second man. He isn't chasing. He laughs easily, speaks calmly, and moves through life as if he's exactly where he's supposed to be. When she's with him, she feels free. She feels interesting. She feels safe and alive. He hasn't promised her the world, but she feels more like herself than she ever did with anyone else. Tell me, who will she think about when she lies awake at night? Who will she replay in her mind? Always the second man. Not because of who he is, but because of how she feels in his presence. This is the twist that flips attraction on its head. It's not about convincing her of your value. It's about creating an environment where her best self comes alive around you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Translate this into relationships, and it becomes, the attraction she feels depends on the quality of emotions she experiences when she's near you. This is why desperate pursuit fails. Because desperation doesn't create joy. It doesn't create excitement. It creates guilt, pity, and sometimes even annoyance. But presence, calm, grounded, stoic presence, creates space for her curiosity. It gives her freedom to choose you instead of feeling forced toward you. And that choice, freely made, is the foundation of real attraction. Here's a quick story. A man once told me about two women he dated back to back. With the first, he tried everything, lavish dinners, gifts, constant texting. She enjoyed the attention, but deep down, she felt nothing. Why? Because all she felt around him was his neediness. Then came the second woman. This time, he approached differently. He focused on his own life, his goals, his calm presence. He wasn't cold, he was warm, attentive, but not overbearing. And this woman? She began calling him. She initiated dates. She invested. Not because he won her over, but because she liked who she became when she was around him. That's the core of this twist. Women don't fall in love with you. They fall in love with the version of themselves they discover when they're with you. So here's the real question: what version of herself does she feel when she's near you? If she feels trapped, pressured, or drained, attraction dies. But if she feels light, respected, and free, attraction grows. And the beauty is, you control this not by manipulating her, but by mastering yourself. That's the essence of Stoic psychology. Control your mind, control your emotions, and you naturally create the conditions where attraction can flourish. Mini payoff: this realization frees you. You no longer need to impress every woman you meet. You simply need to live with such presence and strength that the right women choose to invest. And here's where the stakes rise. Because if attraction isn't about you, it means chasing harder will never fix it. It means the more you try to force her feelings, the more you push them away. But if attraction is about how she feels in your presence, then mastering presence is the only real key. And presence can be learned, practiced, and strengthened, just like a muscle. Now, this brings us to the next step. If presence is the key, how do you build it? What does it look like in daily life, in texts, in conversations, even in silence? Stay with me, because in the final part, we'll uncover how to transform this insight into action, and how to become the man she can't ignore. So now we've reached the final piece. You know the paradox of pursuit. You've seen the Stoic presence effect. You've learned the twist, that attraction isn't really about you, it's about how she feels in your presence. But here's the question that matters most: what do you do with all this knowledge? Because theory means nothing without transformation. Let's start with the first step: stop chasing validation. Every time you seek her approval before you trust your own judgment, you hand over your power. Instead, reclaim it. If you like her, show it honestly, but don't beg for her response. If she invests, great. If not, your life still moves forward. Mini payoff: this small shift already separates you from the majority of men. Most men drown in validation seeking. You, on the other hand, stand firm in self-respect. The second step: master emotional self-control. Remember Epictetus: no man is free who is not master of himself. When you feel the urge to double text, pause. When you feel the panic of silence, breathe. When jealousy or insecurity creeps in, don't react immediately. Step back, observe, and choose your response. This doesn't just make you more attractive, it makes you unshakable in every area of life. Imagine this in practice. She cancels plans last minute. The old version of you might spiral, thinking she doesn't care. But the Stoic version smiles, uses the free time to work out, to learn, to recharge. Instead of punishment, you turn disappointment into progress. That's magnetic energy. Third step: create space for her to choose you. Attraction isn't built in force. It's built in freedom. If she feels she has to reply, she'll resist. But if she feels free to step in, her choice becomes powerful. And every time she invests, every time she reaches out, her emotions deepen. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Her silence. That's not rejection, it's space. And that space can become the pathway to real attraction, if you let it. Here's the emotional climax: the moment you stop trying to make her want you, she starts to wonder why she can't stop thinking about you. Because now, when she's with you, she feels safe. She feels respected. She feels like her best self. And that's the secret. You didn't manipulate her into wanting you. You became the kind of man whose presence invites desire naturally. This is the transformation. From chasing approval to embodying self-mastery. From neediness to presence. From pressure to freedom. And here's what's even more powerful, this transformation doesn't just change your dating life. It changes you. Your friendships, your career, your health, every area improves when you master your mind. So here's your final takeaway. Attraction isn't about tricks. It isn't about lines or tactics. It's about presence. And presence comes from discipline, purpose, and self-respect. When you walk into a room knowing you don't need anyone's approval, people feel it. When you laugh without worrying what others think, they notice. When you carry yourself with calm confidence, she feels it too. And in that moment, you stop being the man who chases, and you become the man she doesn't want to lose. Editor instruction, music swells. Fade in text, control yourself, and the world follows. So now I'll leave you with this, don't focus on how to get her. Focus on how to master you. Because the man who conquers himself, attracts everything else naturally. If this video spoke to you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Because every man deserves to know that the real secret of attraction isn't out there, it's within.